Hello, everybody. This is Tyler Christensen on the Granite Men. As you can tell, I am not with my sidekick Clay Kroll today, but I took it upon myself to do my own episode today. So today we're doing Star Wars The Force Awakens versus Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Now, my close friends will know that I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and that I'm always down for a Star Wars marathon. And one of my best movie experiences ever was seeing Episode 7, The Force Awakens, in theaters, in Lowell, the second day it came out. I absolutely love Episode 7. Even though it's getting a lot of shit now, because as a similar plot to the original Star Wars: A New Hope, which is fair. It's a fair criticism. But that doesn't take away from the movie. Yes, it lacks originality. But the characters drive that movie. Rey, Finn, Kylo Ren, even BB-8, a freaking droid, is hilarious. And then you got all the old guys, Luke, Han, Leia, even though Luke was in the movie for like 20 seconds and didn't say a line, which kind of triggered me, but it's alright. It is what it is. He'll be back in episode 8. And you got Snoke, Supreme Leader Snoke, who no one really knows anything about, which will be interesting to see in the future. Then you got Rogue One, which takes place before Episode 4. And it talks about the rebels stealing the Death Star plans. And yeah. And there you got Jyn, Cassian, Krennic, and CGI Tarkin. I'll get to that later. And K2SO. A pretty funny droid, but overrated. Okay. Now, I'm just going to say this. I do not like Rogue One. Even though it's a Star Wars movie, and people would probably be expecting me to be like, oh, it was sick because it's Star Wars, blah, 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 blah. No. It's overrated. One, because I don't give a fuck about any of the characters. Jyn, played by Felicity Jones, good actress. She does the part well, I guess. But I don't care. Here's an example. So the movie opens with Jyn as a little girl. And the Empire is coming to her house and trying to take her dad, who ultimately will be the architect of the new Death Star, or the original Death Star from A New Hope. I was like, oh damn, that's a good plot point actually right there. This could be very interesting. And we see Jyn as a little girl, and then her dad gets taken away, and her mom is killed, and she sees this. She sees all this shit happen. This is like the first 3 minutes of the movie. So I was like, fuck, this is dark already. And then she runs away and she hides in this little hole, and then she gets picked up by someone. This guy named Saw Gerrera. And then we assume he takes her under his wing, but then the next shot is of Jyn being she's arrested and in this Empire jail thing 20 years later. We have no background about anything. It just jumped 20 years, so we don't know how she's feeling. How did she react after her mom died or after her dad was taken? She has no idea. or we don't have an idea. So that's just I don't like that. And then soon Jin goes and sees Saw later in the movie while the movie's developing. It's like the second act by now. And then Jin is talking about Saw, about how Saw abandoned her and all this shit. See, the thing is about storytelling is, I know people say this all the time. It's actually fucking annoying when people say it, but there's truth to it. Showing is better than telling. And Force Awakens and Rogue One shows that perfectly. Here's an example. So, we don't meet really the protagonist of The Force Awakens, Rey, until like 7 minutes into the movie, maybe. Or 10 minutes even. And when we do meet her, she doesn't have a line of dialogue for a little bit. J.J. Abrams, the director of Force Awakens, he does this great thing. He shows Rey's everyday life as a scavenger, going around picking up parts from old Empire Star Destroyers, and living her everyday life in an AT-AT walker from, we saw that in Empire Strikes Back, and how she cooks food. And there's this one scene, it's like very little, it's like 3 seconds. She's like cleaning out the parts that she scavenged, and she sees an old woman. Like she looks like she's about to wisp away in the wind at any minute. She's so old. She's cleaning the parts too. And then Rey looks at her and realizes, it's like 3 seconds, but she realizes that if she keeps doing this, she's gonna end up like that old woman. Nobody wants that. She wants to go. And even when she eventually meets up with Finn, played by John Boyega, she even says that she's never even left the planet before. Left the planet? Leaving the planet is the equivalent of probably like leaving New England. I could say most of us have probably left New England before in our life, up until now. And that's how you build character. That's how you care about someone. Because if Rey doesn't work, and if the audience does not connect with Rey as a character, then the movie falls. Like Rogue One. I don't give a fuck about Jyn Erso because I didn't see what she went through. We saw one scene in the beginning, and that's it. We can't connect with her. And J.J. Abrams did such a nice job setting up Rey, Finn, even BB-8. BB-8 is the droid, the small ball droid. He's fucking hilarious. Like, okay, Rogue One also had a funny droid, but it's kind of sad when a droid in a movie is the highlight of the movie. Like, not even a human personality could overcome a droid. That stuck out to me, because, ugh. Okay. Now, obviously we all know about the unfortunate passing of Carrie Fisher. And there's been debate about episode 8 coming up, or not episode 8, episode 9 in 2019, as to whether they were going to CGI her character. Because obviously she won't be around for it. Now, if they actually end up doing that, I would be fucking pissed. One, because that's not actually her. It's just computer shit. Like, that's not Carrie Fisher. It's a distraction. That's what it's just a distraction, and that's what Rogue One did with the guy that played Governor Tarkin. He was complete. He died in like 1994, so obviously he's not around. And they CGI'd him. They just electronically imposed him in the movie. And the first time I saw it, it's just a complete distraction. I didn't not focus on anything that guy was saying, and nor did I really care, because that's not real. And yes, the technology's good. I'm not bashing the technology, I'm bashing the use of it. Because George Lucas in the prequels showed everyone that so much CGI is bad. It's bad. Like, there was an interview with either Hayden Christensen or Ewan McGregor, the people that played Obi-Wan and Anakin in the prequels, said that there was at least one blue or green screen in every single shot of the prequels. How do you fucking act with that? Like, honestly. How do you react to an environment of a blue screen? I don't know, man. I don't know. But electronic technology is evolving. So, fuck it, I guess. And then there's literally one scene in Rogue One that is so out there that it actually could have been cut out of the movie and still completely made sense. It's when Saw Gerrera captures a pilot who he assumes is like an Empire spy, I think. And then he gets this octopus thing. And apparently this octopus thing makes you tell the truth. An octopus thing. And like the octopus is like going around this guy and like going in his ears. Ugh, it was weird and just it was not good at all. I cringed so hard. Ugh. Alright, let me go back to The Force Awakens and why it's much better than the atrocity that was Rogue One. The bad guys between The Force Awakens and Rogue One, there's a huge difference. In Force Awakens you have Kylo Ren, who is the son of Han and Leia. And in Rogue One, you have this guy named Krennic, who's pretty much the leader of building the Death Star and all this. Krennic has no backstory. Nothing, so he's just a full-out dick. So I was like, alright, whatever. Kylo Ren is one of the most interesting villains in the Star Wars movies. Right behind Darth Vader. But Darth Vader has had 6 movies to delve out his character. Kylo Ren has had 1. And he's almost as equally as interesting. Because there's conflict. He was on the light side training under Luke. And then something happened that we don't know yet. And he was triggered. And he went to the dark side and betrayed Luke. And then he ends up killing his own dad, Han Solo. But after he kills him, you can see the remorse in him. You can feel the conflict, which makes an interesting character. Which makes me think in episode 8 he's gonna turn good. I hope. Maybe be a dynamic character, and hopefully he does not stay bad the whole time. That's what's gonna make this new trilogy interesting. Is dynamic characters and interesting characters. Not flat characters that have no arcs or anything like Rogue One, where they all, spoiler warning by the way, where they all die in the end. Like, what? Alright, this is going to be part 1 of probably part 2 series, so hang tight. The next one is coming momentarily.